Yeah, well, I just want to let you know that I heard that you've been talking some smack, and I just want you to know that I've been taking Taekwondo lessons in the back of the Walmart Supercenter, so if you don't want to get hurt, then you better stop.
What up, fam? All right, we are on to episode 48, and I got a hilarious guest on today. I've been laughing out loud, literally, at all of his amazing physical skills in comedy. Um, Also, is a hilarious stand-up, and he's also a man of faith. Many of you already know him, I'm sure. You've seen his viral videos and TikToks. His name is Christian McCartney. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you kindly for having me. Thank you.
Any relation to Paul McCartney?
No, but I always get asked that question. I think I'm just gonna start saying yes,
Yeah, you should. You know what I mean?
just to see what everybody else is gonna say. What are you gonna do?
He's my great grand uncle.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. Uh, that's cool, man. So I guess I want to start with your viral video that'll be in the open of this episode.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. It's the way you just shift your I can't even explain it how you do that, because it's like
Like the facial features?
the facial features, of course, but it's like, because I always been an advocate of physical comedy, like going back to Jim Carrey, Robin Williams. Those guys were always amazing. But it's just like, yeah, man, how did you get yourself to discover that about yourself and then be able to
It's
make a career out of it?
it's funny that you mentioned Jim Carrey because I tell people this story all the time because it's completely true. When I was in preschool till around 5th grade, I was obsessed with Jim Carrey. And so I only watch his movies and I watch his videos on YouTube and I started watching documentaries on him. I would do book reports on him and I found out that he used to just stare in the mirror and he would just make faces at himself. So
Yeah.
I started doing that and then I would try to do impressions of him. And then for one of my book reports, I did a project on Jim Carrey and I went up to the front of the class, did the whole report, and then I did an impression of Fire Marshal Bill and I like did the whole skit
Yes.
for the class. And it was amazing. It was so much fun. So then like that day at recess, I went around like to a bunch of different groups of people just doing that whole Fire Marshal Bill skit for them. It was like
Yeah.
my first tour on the playground. It was amazing. But
Oh man.
that's literally what got me into it.
For those who don't know which one is Fire Marshal Bill, was one of Jim Carrey's famous characters on In Living Color back in the day, when he got famous through that and his stand up. And man, I still follow that guy now, and he's always posting like inspirational quotes and
Mhm.
and all of that, and it's just amazing, and he just turned 60, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know. um it's amazing how he still does it, and he's stayed relevant through, and he's evolved enough
Yeah,
to still be like one of the top physical comedians, and just comedians
yeah.
in the world, man. So that's cool. So that tells me where I'm guessing one of your early inspirations was for getting into it. Yeah. Any
Mhm.
other any other artists that you
Yeah, the
aspire to?
Wayne brothers,
Oh
like,
yes.
all of them. Because when I found In Living Color, all I did was watch that show, and so
Yeah.
all of them and they were perfect comedians to look up after just because of how physical they all can be, and then how funny they are naturally.
Yeah.
Um, and then do you know who Tim Hawkins is?
Tell me. No.
Tim Hawkins is a Christian comedian,
Okay.
but he is hilarious. Like he does physical stuff. He's like I like to say he's a Christian version of Jim Carrey
Yeah.
because like in Jim Carrey's stand up, he didn't really curse that much,
Yeah.
but like Tim Hawkins is just a Christian comedian. So I'll watch him and he's just as physical and just as funny and I love it so much.
All
It's
right.
good like to find obviously those people you can look up to that do the same type of stuff that you do.
It's
So you can
it's
help
great,
carry it.
man. It's great. Yeah. I 100% agree. I just don't have the physical talent that you have to make the faces. I can do a little bit and then I tap out. It starts to hurt.
It does hurt.
Yeah.
I put so much lotion on my face, dude. My skin dries out so fast. It's insane.
Oh my god, man. And you just recently celebrated your 1 year of stand-up. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. I was looking at your page. I saw.
That's awesome. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. Good for you. Good for you.
Thank
How's that experience been for you?
It is so much fun. So, I live in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
but I drive to Baltimore, Maryland to do stand-up because,
Yeah.
like, in Pennsylvania, there's not that much stand-up, and I live in, like, a little Amish town, so either way, I have to drive, like, an hour, so I just go down to Baltimore, but the great part about that is, Baltimore comedy is very difficult because the crowd is very hard to make laugh, and I only do clean comedy. So, like, if a
Yeah.
joke works down there, I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be a great joke," because, like, if it makes them laugh, then the people in church are gonna split.
Yeah.
So that's
I
like
listen. I know Maryland. I grew up in Maryland, so
that's
it's yeah. I grew up a little bit, maybe 45 minutes away from Maryland, and I live in Cali now, of course. But um, yeah, man, tough crowd for sure. So that and I saw a few of your bits there, and yeah, and I want to know because I did my first stand up literally at the end of the year last year, and I told myself I'm going to do it, and I did it,
nice.
and then now it's the learning process has begun, and now I'm trying to dip my toe in that cold water when it feels at first. But how was your first experience?
Ooh, so, like, what had happened was I came home from college
Yeah,
and it was, like, on Christmas break, and I wanted like, while I was at college, all I was doing was watching videos on how to write stand-up comedy
mm,
and watching more Jim Carrey stand-up than I usually did, and then I came home and I was like, "Okay, I wanna do an open mic." So, I drove out to Harrisburg Comedy Zone, which was, like, an hour and a half from my house,
yeah.
and my brother came with me and my girlfriend came with me, and I bombed. I did so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, and, like, looking back at the film, oh, it hurts my soul just to see it because, like, the jokes were bad too, and I was like, "I can't believe I got on stage with that stuff." But it's just funny to look back, like, my first time did terrible, second time did even worse because I, like, started, watching what's his name? Jim Carrey, like, did Andy Kaufman,
Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
just his wild comedy, so I was like, "You
Yeah.
know what? I'm gonna go on stage and I'm gonna say one word for, like, 2 minutes, and I bet it's gonna kill." And so I went up there and, like, to start off the set, I did a fake fall onto the stage,
Oh,
which is so cringy, but,
oh
like,
God.
at the time, I was like, "I'm a comedy god!" Right? So I got up there, ran up on stage, fell, and then everybody thought it was real, so they laughed, but
Okay.
they didn't know that I did it on purpose,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I
yeah.
said the word for 2 minutes straight, and somebody thought that I was having a seizure on stage, and
No.
they all started going crazy, like, not laughing, like, "Oh my gosh, is he okay? Is he okay?"
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I thought it would make you guys laugh, and it didn't. So,
Oh.
the worst part about those was I drove an hour and a half to do them, and then they were just terrible, but,
But
I
yeah,
mean
I want to know. Okay, so listen, I bombed too. My biggest thing was when I bombed, I uh I got the light way earlier than I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So that was, and it was my first time, and I got some solid advice from the experienced comics that were at the event because it was
Yeah.
like an open mic setup, right? So
Mhm.
it was just so I'm curious, how was your like reaction after the first bomb? Like when you went up, you bombed, what was your initial thought? What did you think? Like how did you say, all right, I'm gonna do it again? When did you make that decision?
So
Or
then that
yeah,
after I got off stage after I bombed the first time,
yeah.
I was kind of excited because I
Okay.
was like, "Hey, at least I started off like that, and I didn't
Right.
start really hot, and then they have an expectation for me." You know what I
Good.
mean?
Good.
So I
Yeah.
got off stage, and then I just remembered about how many other comedians have said that they all start. Literally every comedian said they start out bombing. So I'm like, hey, I can join the club now. And then,
Yes.
the funny thing is, I've never used that material again
Yeah.
because, like, I used to think that when you go up on stage, I thought that every time you went up on stage, you were supposed to have new jokes, whether it
Right.
was the same crowd or not.
Right.
So for like the first 2 months of comedy, I would go up with new material. So I have like notebooks of material that now I just have to go back and work through
Yeah.
because I wrote all of it for no reason, not knowing that you're supposed to practice the same couple minutes. But
Yeah.
I think it helps in long run, like with writing and stuff,
Right.
of being able to
100%.
do that. Yeah.
100%. No, man, it's great that you thought of it that way, and that's so healthy, right? Because
Yeah.
it's important to do that, and you do it because you love it. Now, I want to know, because comedy is such a broad topic. So stand up is its own animal, and then you got physical comedy, which is for video and satire, or just comedy sketches.
Mhm.
Which one do you lean towards? Like, which one would you say is more your go-to?
I like stand up.
You like stand up?
Yes,
Nice.
just because it's live
Yeah.
and, like, you can hear the people's reaction, you can see them, you can talk to them, and, like, I'll do physical stuff on stage too. I don't post that much of my actual jokes online,
Right.
but, like, most of my jokes are extremely physical, and I
Yeah.
love doing that in front of people because then you can see them be like, "What is he doing?" Or, like, just
Yeah.
their reaction, and that's my favorite part about it.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I grew up with like uh just being like the goofball of my family, and always did the sketches or just the comedy stuff. So my TikToks and stuff, like, I spent a lot of time on the ideas behind those.
Yeah.
And I know that I got a lot of material that I'm accumulating for stand up.
Mhm.
So like what I do is I'm focused on this, and then I'm also uh learning from Second City, like getting a lot of valuable knowledge from that school, and I'm combining it all at with the stand up when I get back on stage here soon. But it's good. It's just good to see it, man. I think right now we're in the, especially with the climate of the world, it's just like I feel like comedy is so necessary right now. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
more than ever, like comedy's always been needed, but I'm just thinking right now, and like I'm 36, and I feel like I want to laugh. I need to laugh because
Yeah.
there's so many reasons not to laugh. So I want to find reasons to laugh, and
Yeah.
seeing your material is one of the main ones that I go to when I'm scrolling. I'll just go on your channel. I'll just start watching like 7, 8, 9 videos for real.
Sound like
It's
my dad.
I am your father.
But,
But yeah, man. So, and you're a man of faith. So I want to talk about that.
Mhm.
What so I'm assuming what faith did you grow up in? I don't want to assume, so I want to ask.
No, yeah, you're good, you're good. I know
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
difficult to even ask questions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I grew up going to a Nazarene church. I still go to the same church I grew up. I
Mm,
don't really consider myself a Nazarene only because I don't really know what all the denominations mean, like,
uh-huh.
individually. I just know that I follow God, and I believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins,
Yeah,
and every day I'm working to be more Christ-like.
I see.
That's what I go by. Alright? And 'cause my pastor was talking about it one day about how there can be a negative connotation with saying that you're religious
Yeah,
because then people automatically assume, "Oh, you're a hypocrite, you do all this." I'm like, "No, I wanna live how Jesus told us to live, which is to just love everybody."
there you go.
And that's
There you
what I
go.
go by, and it's amazing.
The common denominator, man. That's, I think, all religions say the same at the basis, and they all say to love and love your neighbor, and do unto others as you would want to be done unto you.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't need to get more complicated than that, right? I feel like that covers it all.
Yeah.
And I come from Iran, so it's predominantly a Muslim country, but I'm not Muslim. I grew up in the Baha'i religion, but also those religions also have commonalities. It's funny because when you see it on the media, it's and what the government is working on against the Baha'is in Iran is not what you would think, but the foundation of all of these religions are saying the same thing. And I think the human mind can do funny tricks on itself and start to think like, you know, it's more special than the other one, and then it becomes silly. But anyway, it's good, man. It's good. And how old are you right now?
20.
Oh man. All right. All right. Yeah.
Young bull.
Yeah, you're a young bull. You're hitting your primes, man. You're hitting your prime.
Yeah.
You're hitting your Amazon Prime. But yeah, no, that's good. So, and you said you follow Christian comedy, or are you just doing clean comedy, or are you doing Christian comedy?
I mean, like I do clean comedy. I don't just talk about stuff that happens in church.
Yeah.
Like I talk about normal life stuff too, because like that's what, not everybody goes to church, so not everybody knows what happens in there.
Right.
So, like I have jokes for a lot. I have jokes about my life, and that's what it's all about. It's clean. I don't curse. I talk anything bad, but I just. Oh geez.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
My dog.
I love it. I have a dog too. His snore is bleeding through, so I can hear my dog snore. What kind of dog is it?
I don't even know. She's not my dog. No, she's a pug.
Yeah.
And she's one of the cute ones. Like she's not ugly and all that stuff. Nice.
I have a French bulldog, so they're similar to pugs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. French bulldogs, though, they just are like, their face is just a bunch of wrinkles. It's hilarious. Yeah. I love it. I just squish his face sometimes.
Yeah, all the skin.
They have so much skin. It's like two dogs in one.
Yeah.
Man. So clean comedy, and then so I guess I want to get into what made you decide to hit it hard with stand up, and just, you know, obviously the online content is hilarious, but at what age or at what point did you decide I'm gonna hit the stage?
So, well, I've been like doing theater my whole life. Like when I was little, I used to be in plays and stuff in school, and then when I got to college, I did improv. I only went to college for a semester, but like I went to college. Like I still tell people. But like when I went there, I did improv, and that was so much fun. My mom, like when we were younger, during the summer, she used to make me and my brother go to the library and like take classes just so that we wouldn't get into trouble like outside. And so one of the classes that we took was improv and then anti-gambling. It was the same class in the same day, and so that's what we did. And I was like 7 years old, I think, when I did that, and just performing like in front of each other. It was so much fun to do, like to come up with stuff off the spot. It was amazing. And then I remember in 7th grade, I went to a new school because I like going to a private Christian school. And then I went to public school, and oh my gosh. I went to, let me see if I can,
It's okay.
So I went to a public school, and they didn't know me. So like, I was like, oh snap, I can do all my old jokes and they're not going to know who I am. Yeah. And so my teacher used to let me, just like Jim Carrey, my teacher used to let me get up in front of the class, like in the morning, and she would let me just talk and do whatever, like make faces and all this stuff. And it was amazing. And then I remember coming home from school one day and telling my dad, all right, I got to go let her out.
Okay, go ahead.
You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I remember telling my dad, I wanted to do stand-up comedy in like 7th grade. But I didn't know what stand-up comedy was in 7th grade. I was like, oh, they let me stand in front of the class like Jim Carrey. I'm going to be Jim Carrey. So that happened. Then I went away from it for like, I was still hanging out with my friends, like being stupid and funny, but I didn't do any stage time at that young. Because again, the only place I could have gone was Baltimore. My parents were going to let me go to Baltimore, and I was 13 years old. So like, I couldn't go.
My parents wouldn't let me go to Baltimore when I was 18 years old. So
right. So it didn't like click again until I got to college, and I was going for early childhood education, but I just couldn't. I went to class and everything. I did what I was supposed to do, but while I was going to class and all stuff, I was still making everybody laugh, and I was like, making people laugh is so much more fun than going and doing all these book reports and all this stuff. So I'm I'm gonna try to focus on this. And when I came back from Christmas break, that's when I did the open mic, and I was like, this is something that I want to do
Yeah.
forever.
Hey, good on you, man, to make that call at 19, I guess it would have been, or 18, 19, 20. So it's that's huge, man. I'm a musician as well, right? So I did that all my 20s. So all in my 20s, I was a rock star. I'm like, yeah, I'm the lead front man. I did also fall on stage, not on purpose. So that was really fun, and that's when I was like, maybe I could turn this into a comedy thing. No, but it was just it was and I don't regret any of it. I still love music, right? My piano's right here. I play.
Nice.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, so you can see it kind of right there. Yep.
Yeah,
But
I see
anyway,
it, yeah.
yeah. So it's and hey, that's what I do, right? That's my regular job right now is teaching. So I teach, and I'm also happily married. So it's like I'm
Nice.
doing that, and I been working out my material, but I've always loved comedy, and I've always loved making people laugh like yourself. So, but yeah, man, I'm just I'm interested in getting to know the community, right? Not just here locally in Sacramento, but also like across the nation and the world. And another comic that came to mind as you were talking when you were letting the dog out was Sinbad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was I thought he had some physical aspects to his
He
comedy,
did, yeah.
and I thought he was very funny as well, and his movies were hilarious, the some of his work. But so what yeah, I was going to ask you this, and then we can wrap it up, but where I saw something about Magoo. Is it Magoo's? Am I pronouncing it right?
Magoobies, yeah.
Magoobies, my bad. Yeah. So Magoobies, you had was there a competition there or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about that.
It's the new comedian of the year competition.
Okay.
And what they do throughout the entire year, they take, or they don't take, they have these monthly competitions every month. And
Yeah.
if you win it, then you get put into a competition at the end of the year. So I won the first time I performed, which was only my third time doing stand up in
So you bomb
January of that.
twice, and then you go and do this.
Yeah, dude, the difference was insane. It was
Okay.
so weird. So it was of January last year. So like in the middle of all this was when COVID was like really
Oh my
getting
God,
up. So I never really performed in front of a real audience. When I was at the first two open mics, it was all comedians. And I didn't know that comedians didn't care about other comedians' material at first. So I was like, oh, they just hate by his jokes. So when I came to the third open mic at the Magoobies, when there was actually people and I was actually getting a response, like you feed off it. And of course, it was a completely different 5-minute set. But like, and I haven't performed that one since then either. But like, after that, you get put into the end of the year. So I waited the whole year. I got put into the semifinals. And then there's 3 rounds of semifinals, and they pick 3 from each. So that there's 12.
Right.
They pick 4 from each, so that there's 12 in the finals.
Yeah.
And then in the final round, they pick 2 comedians. I made it past the semifinals, and then I performed in the final round. And then that same night, you perform a different 5-minute set. And if you like get to the final 2, so I got to the final 2, and then I was up against this one lady named Nikki Knowles, and she's really funny too. The best part about it was we were both clean comedians.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like there are so many not clean comedians in the show. So we thought it was really like we prayed before we both went up on stage. It was by far my favorite comedy experience of the year. Getting to pray with her before we went up, and we both went up, did our thing, and then she took the ring home. She got the goblet. It was fun. I don't mind I didn't win. The whole point of the competition is just to get in front of the club owner so that he can see you perform and then book you at the club.
Exactly, man.
And that the next weekend, literally the first weekend of this year, I worked the club. I hosted for this lady named April Macy, and
Yeah.
she was awesome to work with. So I was like, hey,
There you go,
this
man.
is all so that was like all I
And
needed. But
and that's great that you saw that, right? Like at that age, right? Like I couldn't have seen that probably at that age. I would have probably driven home and been like, all right, it's over, and then
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? But again, right? It's a great sign of your maturity to see that and be able to look at the business side of all of this at the end of the day. So that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. And
thank you.
Magoobies, I saw their Instagram. They got a bunch of big time people that have been there. That's great.
Oh yeah, they have a whole wall in the club. They have a huge wall of all the headshots of all the comedians that have performed there. It's
Amazing.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you met any of your heroes or even stand-ups that you look up to?
I watched Damon Wayans perform there.
Yes.
I didn't get to meet him,
Right.
but like I saw him, and it was just so weird to see him in person. But the best part, like because so many famous comedians come through there all the time, we see them like all the time now. And the best part about it is you just learn that they're literally normal people.
Oh my God. Yeah.
They're just hilarious. You know what I mean?
They've just been doing it longer, right?
Yeah.
And they're great at it, obviously, but it's like, you're right, man. They're just normal people. And that's such a huge lesson that I learned later. And also I want other younger aspiring comics or anybody who's in any entertainment to just realize that and just it's okay.
Yeah.
And they're just people, man, and they want to talk, and they want to, if you get to meet them, ask the real questions you've been wanting to ask them when you were sitting alone and thinking about it. That's why that's what I try to do on this podcast, as well as when I meet comics in person. It's the same, man.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, go ahead.
I met Brian Regan actually. There's a bar. Yeah, there was a bar next door to the Magoobies that an open mic happens there. So I was over there hanging out, and Brian Regan just walked in with his wife and like his tour manager or something. He was performing close nearby, I think, and then he loves the bar and he likes the club, so he just came over and hung out. And so I was talking to him for like 15 minutes. He's the coolest dude like you'd ever meet.
Man,
he's so chill. And it's
so
awesome to meet people that have been like where you dream of being, and then to know that they can still be humble and still be normal people. Like the ego doesn't get to everybody. That's really good to hear and like to see actually.
I mean, that's what my whole reason for starting this thing was, man. pHumble is how it's spelled, but it's pronounced fumble. But the H is capital because I'm Pej, so the P is to kind of give the, hey, Pej, stay humble. That's the idea. That's the whole point. I think humility is a lifelong journey and has nothing to do with where you are in life. And I feel that's huge, man. And that's great that Brian Regan was so chill and just had a convo with you. Well, dude, what's coming up for you, man? Plug away your channels and yeah.
Cool beans. Yeah. So obviously I'm still gonna be posting stuff on TikTok. My dad makes me do it, so I'm gonna keep doing that. And actually, I didn't want to start doing TikToks. My dad did make me. He's like, he said you'd be good at it. You should do it. And then I did it.
You are great at it. Yeah.
And I was like, dang it, he's right again. Come on, Dad, give me a break. But I'm gonna keep posting TikToks. My YouTube channel, Christian McCartney. Yeah, just my name, Christian McCartney.
Okay.
I post skits and I post Bible stories on there also, which I love making. Like they're Bible stories, but I tell them from the perspective of a comedian reading them.
Yep.
So that like it's funny and entertaining, but the message is still very prevalent. And then also I'm performing at a festival coming up in April.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, Georgia. And it's Infiniti Music Festival. That's what it is.
Okay.
Infiniti, with an I, Infiniti Music Festival. And it's like a big Christian EDM concert.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna have a bunch of huge artists come. And the guy reached out to me and he's like, hey, do you wanna come do? He's like, I love your TikToks. I've seen you do some stand-up. I said I would love to have you come perform there.
What?
And I was like, well, sweet baby Jesus, yes, I will. That is definitely the biggest thing coming up in April. It's Easter weekend.
Yes.
Can't remember what date that is, but it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you get me that info, and that'll all be on this at this point of the episode, so everyone will be able to see it. If not, it'll be in the description. So you guys heard that. Christian McCartney, the talented Christian McCartney, Atlanta, Georgia, stand up. He's coming for you. So get ready. And his TikTok, Christian McCartney as well, or actually your TikTok, I think is Mr. McCartney. Yeah, look at that. It's right here. Got it.
Yeah.
I wasn't lying, man. I was going through your page. No, yeah, dude. So any last word of advice you have for younger comics that are in their maybe teenage years, early teenage years, and they're thinking about pursuing this?
The piece of advice that I got when I told my friend I wanted to start, he was a comedian in college, and I told him I want to start doing stand-up comedy, and he's given me the advice that plenty of other people have given me, and they say, don't do it, which is probably the worst advice that I've ever heard. But I continually get it over and over. Look, if God has put a passion in your heart to do something and you think it's making people laugh, do not listen to what anybody else is saying. Go and do it.
Oh my God, so true. Listen, we cannot all be college graduates, and we cannot all be doctors and lawyers and all that. Okay, that would be a very boring world if everybody was lawyers and they were all only meeting at courts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like that's not the best. Nobody likes to be in a court. I don't even think lawyers like to be in court.
They don't. That's why they're so mad.
So, listen, do what you are purely in love with, okay? And the word purely is huge here, because you have to love what you do when you're not thinking about real world stuff, right? When you're sitting in your home playing Xbox and you're like, I'm pretty funny, dude. And then you start testing that and you realize people are laughing, go for it. Mm-hmm. Also, if you want to be a doctor, go for that. So it's you know what I mean? Now there's some doctors who are funny too. So
that's true.
But hey, Christian, thank you so much, man, for spending your day with me. This will be the first episode of February. So February 1st, this will be out, which is now because people are watching it. So catch Christian McCartney. All the graphics will be here. You know me, Pej the Maniac. You can follow me on all my socials, which are right here, as well as subscribe to Podcast on YouTube. And it's now got video on Spotify. If you didn't know, now you know. This has been episode 48, and I will see you guys on the next one.
See ya.